Hello and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast. This is a 3-time weekly show looking into the exciting happenings of Ipswich Town Football Club, available on video and podcast. My name is Benjamin Bloom. I'll be here each and every Monday/Sunday for this flagship show with ITFC aficionado David Diamond for a sometimes irreverent but always informative hour of football conversation. Make your Monday a Blue Monday. Dave, it's 9:16 in the morning.
Oh, it takes us back, mate. It takes me back to the early days of the pod where you were out gigging then, weren't you? You're in your gigging phase back then, and it just used to be Dave, just be on alert, be ready when we can do it. So it could be.
Well, I was living in Ipswich then as well.
I mean, you were living in Ipswich, to be fair. I wasn't hacking up to Aylesbury or wherever, or London Coney. But it was like it could be like it could be 9 on. You about this time. You used to do a lot around about this time, didn't we?
Yeah, normally I would have got in about 3 a.m. or something.
Yeah, you were in a pretty shit state usually, but no, sleep-wise, I must say, sleep-wise. So yeah, it was. This takes us back. Quite nice.
Dave, how's your international weekend?
No different, really. Didn't watch the game.
No, did any England fans? Apart from those ones on the hill.
Oh, that was heroic, weren't they? Christ almighty. They basically travelled all that way and, obviously expensive flights and stuff to stand on a hill and watch the team. Fair play. Now, I must confess, I did see a bit of it and we looked like we had the better of it, didn't we? Hit the bar. I think Kane hit the bar and Rashford missed his usual gilt-edged chances. But, I saw 10, 15 minutes.
People fall into two camps on international weekend, Dave, and I think you probably fall into the camp that I fall in because you do 2 podcasts a week and go to 1.5 games per week. When it gets to international break, I'm like, right, I'm going to the zoo, watch a movie.
Yeah. Oh, you went to the zoo, yeah. Where'd you go? Whereabouts?
Shepworth in Cambridgeshire.
Never heard of it.
It's near a fish place, so we got another fish as well.
Fish accumulation.
But we do appreciate and admire all the people that did the non-league day thing because I think they make quite a bit more money on non-league day and I think that does well for the old grassroots, Dave.
I was painting my shed. Otherwise, I would have been, as it was a nice day, and today was supposed to be shite. So as it was a nice day, otherwise I'd have definitely gone. Probably I might have gone down to Felixstowe played Sudbury. That's quite a big game.
Yeah.
Alone. I'd probably gone along to that yesterday.
What's in your shed?
What's in my shed?
Yeah.
Usual garden stuff. Lawn mowed, general garden.
Does it
stuff.
smell of engine oil?
Unfortunately not. No, my dad used to though, bless him. Yeah, he said he was always. No, not me. No. Oh, actually, yes, it does. Yes, it would, because I've got a lawnmower in there, so yeah, it would smell a bit of that, I suppose.
Lovely
but yeah,
stuff.
So that was my Saturday afternoon. And today, you say you've got like
we've got Storm Callum over here, but it's not not looking too.
Looks like it might rain. Bit of rain earlier, but that's the weather report.
You can tell there's been no football because we've done the weather report, haven't we? Dave, Kevin Beattie, the greatest footballer England never had, is being reprinted. Talk to us a bit about this book, Dave, because you lent this to me a few years ago, didn't you? Talk to me about this book and give it a bit of a plug for Rob, the author, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic, Rob Finch. So it takes him basically in his own words. From his early days, so it starts with a foreword by Sir Bobby Robson, fantastic as you'd expect, and then just takes it right through. I believe it kicks off with the Man U debut. It doesn't. It kicks off right at the very start when he comes through Carlisle, playing in junior football and stuff like that. It's a fantastic read. What I love about this book, on the back of this book, it's got, which is always what moves me really, on the back of this book, it's got all the quotes from the greats. So Kevin Beattie, Bobby Robson. Kevin Beattie's the finest player England have produced during my time in the game. Brian Clough, you'd have loved this. I would have loved for you to come and play in one of my teams. Bobby Charlton, you remind me of the great Duncan Edwards. So, and on. So, great book, great read. I recommend that one. Brilliant.
So, Dave, you can get that on Amazon, but if you read the TWTD article, they'll waive your postage if you do a code or a email or something. So,
that's fantastic.
Have a look at that.
Brilliant
Dave,
book.
Gwion Edwards has been added to this week's Welsh squad for their Nations League games. Obviously, good news. How does this benefit player and club?
I mean, both really. I guess it must boost his confidence, and I think we'd all agree. We might cover this in a little while, but out of all the new signings, he's probably had the biggest impact. Can only be good for him to boost his confidence, and in that, and the knock-on effect of that is good for the team as well. I believe he appeared. I think I read somewhere. Did he not appear in a Welsh squad 2 or 3 seasons ago? Even when he was at Crawley,
16 or
maybe.
14
Yeah, I
or
think
something.
even before he was at
He's
Peterborough.
too young for it to be 20. It must have been
Probably,
2016.
yeah. I think when he was, even this preceded his Peterborough career. I think so. He could have been at Crawley then. Yeah, I
Does
mean,
it bump the value
great for
up
him.
these days, Dave, or does it not matter quite as much as it used to?
I'm not really sure. I don't think so. Wales, I'm not. No disrespect, but no, I don't see it. No,
He's
not
a
really.
winger working with Ryan Giggs and Gareth Bale, so
That's a very good point. Well,
yeah,
good, well thought through there. Yeah, that's got to help, hasn't it?
that has
Although
got to help.
I think Bale was absent for they played Spain, yeah, they played Spain, didn't they? Bale clearly wasn't there, and they lost 4-1, which is not surprising against Spain.
Sky TV have moved Ipswich Town versus West Brom from the 24th to the 23rd to November. Lovely payday for the club, but unfortunately, this was the day Blue Monday Live, after 3 years of podcasting,
I heard that. I
was
heard that. I immediately contacted Sky and cancelled my subscription. And I think someone said, surely is this the time to bring back the shit list?
I'll have a think about it. I'll have a think about
Oh yeah,
it.
actually,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, you've got to think thoroughly about
I've got to
that.
think very thoroughly.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot about it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
So
we'll get over that one. Go on.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll get past that.
So
Yeah.
here's the elephant in the room. So the event, we'd always planned the event to be after a game. So the idea was people come in and take the game in and then come to the event. We tried to pick a game that we thought was going to be exciting. We loved the way West Brom are playing and scoring loads of goals, and they're likely to be either first, second, or third.
Yeah.
So we'd planned it all out beautifully. We'd sold quite a lot of tickets. Everything was lovely. Obviously, we can't do the event on the 24th, because there were people actually travelling specifically for the game and the event. So to then,
Or some for the event and the game.
yeah. So for them to then stay over for another night and it just gets ridiculous, to hear us talk about football. I've gone back and forth with the venue. We didn't want to do anything too close to Christmas because we know people have got presents to buy and got to go shopping at the weekends. The venue could do the Wigan game or the Rotherham game, and we wanted to also offer, something where the game was a bit exciting to come to, and we know exactly what Rotherham are going to do. We could do Harry and Rich's show right now and tell you 4-5-1 and try and get some set plays. Also, Dave, in January, people are a bit short of money and want to wait for that first payday. So here's what's going to happen. After the Norwich game on the 10th, I believe it's Derby on the Wednesday and then Stoke City on the Saturday, February the 16th. So there's going to be absolutely shitloads to talk about. Hopefully not loads and loads of defeats. So the event is going to be rescheduled. We haven't announced this yet. It's going to be rescheduled for February the 16th after Ipswich play Stoke City. Now, if you've already bought a ticket, and we know we literally had people coming from America and Italy, so we know we're going to get some refunds. If you already bought a ticket and you can't make the new date, obviously we'll refund you your money. I think the best way to do this is to contact us via Twitter. We'll follow you and then we'll do it via DM because emails and whatnot. We would love those people who already had tickets to try and, just reschedule and get to the second event. Obviously, if you can't come, we understand and we'll refund you your money. It's an absolute nightmare for us. We'd put a lot of work into it. What it does mean, though, is I think that more of the Blue Monday team,
the whole team
will be able to be there. So Rich and Mikey weren't going to be able to make the first one. And Dave, I think the we were already surprised. We were pretty much half sold, and a month away. So we think giving it a little bit longer, the season to
Yeah,
run a bit longer. Perfect
good.
Christmas present, Dave.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. No, I think you're right. Giving it a little bit more notice, we may get more punters in. Really.
All we
Yeah,
can
it's a
say is
shame. As we said, West Brom was probably looking at the fixtures, Norwich apart, which has gone probably the most attractive fixture of the season, probably. But hey, Stoke, just come down from the Premier League, so yeah, I've still got some great players there.
And all we can do is say we're sorry it got cancelled. We know some people were annoyed, but there's
Outside of our control, as they say.
Absolutely nothing we could do. And thank you, because I didn't find out from immediately. I think it was Thursday. My phone starts going.
I think Joe put something on WhatsApp. Joe Fairs.
Yeah, and we just got a whole load of tweets. What's happening with the live event? So thank you for all the interest. Dave, Rob Chandler is a superstar. Ipswich Town announcer Rob Chandler has become nearly as popular as Dave and Marcus Stewart in podcast folklore. So we did an interview podcast with Rob. We filmed it last week to put out this week, and it's gone over an absolute storm. Dave, did you get a chance to listen to it?
I did. He came across brilliantly, didn't he? Yeah, absolutely brilliantly. Yeah, it was good. It was really, between the two of you, it's really, excuse me, really natural. Just came over really well, didn't he? And interesting. I didn't realise he was an Ipswich lad, born and bred. I never realised that.
Yeah.
I never realised that. So he's an Ipswich lad that obviously got his break north of the border, didn't he?
So Rob's been the announcer now for 20 years, so he comes at it from a really unique position. He's the only person in the world that has seen it from that particular position. He's got some really great stories. The podcast got great feedback, good ratings as well.
It's a great listen, that.
We'll probably revisit with Rob somewhere down the line as well. But do check that out on the feed. I know a lot of people just listen to the flagship show or just listen to the preview show or whatever, but do check out, we chuck in a podcast special every now and then, and that certainly was a good one.
He was super, yeah, very good.
So Dave, here's the plan today, is mailbag. So we got in contact on Friday, and I'm like, should we do a pod then, Dave, rather than have the week off? And you're like, yeah, okay, fine. What are we going to do though?
What are we going to talk about?
So yeah, then it's like, should we do mailbag? And will we get enough questions? Yes, we have enough questions, Dave.
Well, this is where it differs from the early days of the pod. I remember when we used to put, thinking now was Sunday morning, I'd be sitting in the pod bunker with you, and we'd be sort of fielding questions. Said, right, questions, and there'd be like 3 or 4, and they said, right, okay, on we go. But no, that's great.
Always hundreds. And I think sometimes people get a bit irritated with us because we're on like segment 7 of 11 of the podcast, and that's the questions, and we rush through and we don't answer them. And you have to understand, to break the fourth wall a bit, I'm looking at a clock on my screen here. Dave can't see it, but I'm looking at a clock, and as it ticks past the 1 hour mark, and we've not even got to the questions. So we're going to try and do our absolute best here. So let's start, Dave.
Fire away. Fire.
This is at Lee at Ginger Eagle 73. Does David like his new light, or does he feel uncomfortable now people can see him?
Oh, that's a nice question. I love my new light. I've got it on. Obviously, recording different time of day today, because usually in recent weeks it's been twilight and the old light up there not so good. So yeah, I'm enjoying my new light. Thanks, Lee. Thank you.
And we do have to say, we're just blokes who like football, and we've all had to learn about cameras and audio and filming and lighting and computers. So we try our absolute best to make this production not look completely shabby and awful.
I think Ben had let it go far enough before he got totally fed up. Before, right, I'm going to meet you at half time. Here's a light. Use it.
Oh, I only did that because I've got a lovely one now pointing right in my face. He's got a second question, Dave. What do you make of the Doig rumours that have been floating about? Namely, he's a disruptive influence and has been unsettling people. And this is in the light of Kieran Dyer coming out very pro Hurst and Doig. What are your thoughts, Dave?
So. he does cut an imposing figure, doesn't he? Whether that's because, when you see, I only ever see him, perhaps walk to the dugout with little Paul. So you've got little Paul down there, and Doigy's fucking brick shithouse, isn't he? He's huge,
Dave, their
isn't he?
touchline manner is total opposite as well.
Yeah,
Hurst
yeah,
is, standing observing with his arms folded, and
yeah.
Doigy's.
I think
Sorry,
I think
sorry,
they
go
almost.
ahead.
I think they almost come across as that good cop, bad cop. That's a persona I see. Look, whether there has been something in there in the, no doubt they have ruffled a few feathers, and him in particular has obviously ruffled a few feathers in the early part of the season. I mean, it must be strange for someone like Chambers, who obviously played with him at Forest, albeit not for very long, I think. So that must be odd in itself, especially with Chambers being such a, a sort of leading figure, the captain, leading figure within the team. So I don't really think there's much in that. I think any new regime going into a football club is going to upset some of the players. That's a given, I think. I think like I said, I think he comes across by his look. He comes across quite an imposing, in your face kind of guy. And if that's his persona, that's what it is,
And Dave, coupled with that, one, we were bottom of the league. So that always brings stuff out. And two, the previous regime was very, very much based on camaraderie and man management. And
no, absolutely right. I mean, for instance, and I know we've spoken about this, and I think this was born very much out of frustration, that second game of the season, the Exeter away game, when the manager comes on. And let's face it, I think we said a bit about it on the pod, actually. Bloody hell, he's digging players out. And you can almost tell the players he was digging out there,
But we haven't had that for 5 years.
Never would have happened. Never would have happened. You're right. It was very
and
much
look at the Adeyemi thing.
And that's the thing. Sorry, Ben. That's the thing at the end of the McCarthy. I've said it. There you go. At the end of the regime, that became so intense. Us against them. It was just that's probably in the end what was a downfall, really, where it all went wrong.
I was just going to mention, and McCarthy falling over himself to protect Adeyemi and not reveal, and then the new regime's like, well, some people's pain threshold is different to others,
That's fair enough, and I think I guess with the previous manager, Adeyemi had been out for 6 months, so that I guess you can 6 months, so he's going to be ready for the new season, sort of thing. Now, when he's not ready for the new season, and apparently he's nowhere near ready for the new season, as we understand, it's going to get more, that line of thought is going to get more and more intense, isn't it?
I think I'll lead on this one, Dave. This is shag, marry, or kill.
I saw this. I thought about this one. Go on.
Yeah. Jonathan Douglas, Bluey, and Paul Jewell. I think the obvious leap is shag Jonathan Douglas, isn't it? He's a handsome fella, isn't it?
Can I just stop you there? Do we think? Obviously, Bluey's not real, is he? Do
we person under? No.
Do we think the person under Bluey might be female?
Oh, what? So I could marry them? Okay. So I'm going to marry Bluey, and I'm afraid Paul Jewell's going to get the other one. But I think that's where we're going to go with that. Moving on, Dave. Matty Chaplin, where do you think we will finish this season? I still think we could finish in the top 10.
Very unlikely. I don't see that, Matty, at all. Very unlikely. After the win last, and I think again we'll move on to this. I've seen some of the questions. This will become apparent in the next few questions, perhaps. I think after the win last week, which was very, let's face it, unexpected. Huge game coming up this week against QPR, massive. You win that, and you think, okay, there we go. You don't get a good result in that game. I'm going to say you're back to square one, but again, tension's going to rise again, isn't it? I don't see his top 10. No, not this season. Not this season. I think
if you're right, Matty, we'll be cock a hoop on the last podcast.
What a run we look from where we are. What a great run we'd have had for the last 34 games. We'd have been,
very true.
Point and a half a game probably.
Trevor Hewlett, attendance is down. Atmosphere up following #new era. To attract more fans, does ITFC do something radically different, or is it as simple as wins equals bums all seats? Would fans improve results? Is there a correlation between attendance and success? It's the other way around, isn't it?
Yes, of course it is. Yeah, in more wins, you get more wins climb the league, you'll get more people there. Of course you will.
I think we've discussed this before, Dave, about the hardcore of 10, 11,000 who, no matter what they say, how much they moan, they're gonna be there.
And also, I'm sorry, last season, if we'd have had another season like we had, if we'd had a Daryl Murphy, if Waghorn had suddenly become a Daryl Murphy, or one of them become a Daryl Murphy and scored 27 goals last year, and we'd have been pushing for the playoffs last year in and around like that 14, 15, admittedly playing the same brand of football. Sorry, you're not saying we wouldn't have had 20,000 in there most weeks. We would have done.
Do you think
I'll say 20,000, but going back thinking of what the attendances was 14, 15. Sure, we would have done. And well, maybe, you would not have had so many people would have been, okay, I wish we were playing more open, attractive football. But hey, we're winning, so it'd still be here.
And what about say for kids, or in terms of drawing? Is there anything with schools, or I remember the Birmingham game last season. They did something with the NHS or whatnot. Could they be doing? Because
I think they probably do, don't they? Do they
not? My argument is if the seats are empty,
no, fill them at any cost.
You're still going to sell cups of tea to the kids' parents and whatnot. And make a profit on it anyway,
they do it occasionally. I think there's one of they. Yeah, they do. I think this game, QPR game, they've got this ticket pricing thing on where you can kind of season ticket. Is it right? Can buy 3 extra tickets for a tenner, I think, each, which is great. And I think, and notice, QPR generally bring more supporters anyway. They'll bring 1,500, whatever they'll bring. I'm sure they'll sell out their allocation. They pretty much always do. So Saturday, then I would have thought, and on the back of last week's result, I would have hoped for, a 17,000 crowd there, maybe pushing something like that.
Is there any legs, Dave, in the argument that in say 95, 96, so you're down from the Premier League, you're Burley's Entertainers season, and a lot of crowds under 10,000 there. Is there any argument to say that the 97 to 2005 period was just a very high period, and we're not that far off the natural crowd, and really the only thing that is going to bump that towards 20,000 would be another successful period?
No, I totally agree. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and you've got to say the brand of football under Burley during that period was just, for most of that period, and obviously Royal afterwards for 2 or 3 seasons was fantastic, wasn't it? You don't appreciate it. We've always said that. I hark back to the 80s and stuff, but you don't appreciate it till you had to go through what they went through last season, latter seasons really.
Bit of a mean question from me, Dave. Is the ground too big and not fit for purpose? No, seriously. You're probably right. I guess Loftus Road. That's a good thing. Loftus Road with a nice view. Yeah.
With a nice view. Yeah, can hold 18,000. Is it 19,000? So you should imagine when. Very rare occasions, I guess, when it's full and packed, the place is jumping, isn't it? Yeah, it must be. Don't forget, obviously, our ground was redeveloped in 2001 after we just finished. Well, part of it before then, when we just finished 5th.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's very easy to have 2020 hindsight, isn't it? But
what it does do, I think, sometimes is, and I think we touched on this before, away teams come in there thinking, "God, this is nice."
Yeah.
But it's only half full, and it plays. Perhaps sometimes it being like that plays into the away team's hands.
Leeds are taking 7,500 supporters to Blackburn next week.
Yeah,
7,500.
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. How many did they bring here last year? Was it 4, 5? The whole of the stand, top of the stand.
More than Lincoln, I think.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Now, sometimes I just take a look, and I look at Rotherham's stadium, and I'm like, look, modern, 10,000. Parking, room to build it up, good view wherever you sit, and you think, right, that's the perfect stadium for Rotherham to have. And then you look at derbies, and exactly the same thing. They can build it up, and sometimes it feels.
Will it happen? Who knows? Who knows? I think, certainly after my time, will it happen? Obviously they don't. They don't own the ground, do they?
No. Paul at Barty UK1, reading Kieran Dyer's comments about Paul Hurst and Doig, have people gone over the top with their reaction to players not playing from the academy when it appears they both do far more work with the academy than the previous manager? A few things to unpack
an
in that.
interesting one. Yeah, yeah. No, that is an interesting one. I mean, I think I was quite disappointed to see the likes of, I think the two, perhaps were Wolfenden and Neidham, perhaps disappear out on loan. I think we said that, and then Downs. Okay, the whole thing about Dazelle, let's park that to one side because now it seems he's obviously back in the squad now, which is great. And also Downs. I mean, Downs came in for what's the game he came in and had a bit of a mare? Was it Hull away and had a bit of a mare?
He gave the ball away for the first
Gave the
goal.
ball away. I mean, it's a bit harsh, and then he disappeared from a couple of squads. But now he's back in. He's now back in, and I think you said last weekend he came on against Swansea. You see, he really wanted to get hold of the ball. Admittedly, he was only on for the last 10, but he looked stronger, looked more of a physical, bulked up on his physical side. So look, there's for me that's positive. And what I understand and what you read about it, they're pretty much attending all 23 games and seemingly some of the under 18 games as well. Whether the previous management did or not, I can't really recall. And it seems you read it on social media that at the 23 games, Brian Kluge's up in the stand with Chris Doig and they're laughing and joking and everything seems fine. So everyone would love to see our young players coming through, but I think you have to temper that with when is the right time. Personally, I'm really disappointed about Neidham not being in and around the squad because I really think he's got potential and he's gone to St Johnstone. Seemingly he's not playing. I think I saw something pop up the other day. Oh, Neidham scored, and you look, it's for their St Johnstone's under 23s or something like.
Do you think Neidham is a little bit? I get the impression, and this
is a little bit light.
This is me kind of making a lot of leaps. Hurst wants someone strong in the 2, and he's not strong enough. He wants someone really creative in the 10 spot, and he's not a wide player. Do you know what I mean? I wonder where he goes in.
Where he fits in, yeah. I mean, my question, my issue with it, with regard to squad wise, is, and I think I said this last week. For me, he's exactly the same player as Eden, isn't he? Seems to me exactly the same.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly the same player. So that I can't see why he's not in and around the squad and Eden is. I don't know. Eden perhaps a little bit more experienced, played for the England under 20s, and
I think you've nailed it there.
And of course he's been with Fulham, and I think you touched on it last week as well. It's a very good point. He's been with Fulham. He's trained with Kenny and Johansson.
But Dave, I think a lot of people look at that under 20 squad and they want those players, don't they? The one that Dazelle was in. I think that is a real feather in the
Chalobah. I think that. Let's see. I mean, it seemingly, they seem to be. Last weekend, Jack Lancaster, as we said, was on the bench. I think the young fullback was at Clements came into the squad. So it seems to be that they're, looking to, they are looking to use them, but only they'll make that decision when the time's right, when they consider the time's right. I mean, you saw Dazelle's play last weekend. All right, they said really only had perhaps 10, 15 meaningful touches, but out of those 3 or 4,
they're very meaningful.
Yeah, exactly. So from their point of view, was he then right to go back in? I don't think he was. I don't think he was put back in last week purely because the fans have been shouting for him. I'm sure that's not the case.
I think Mick Mills argues it very well because he comes at it from are they better than what we've got?
Absolutely.
And I must say, Mick Mills suffers from the same thing as Gary Neville of going really intense on fullbacks as well. But when you hear him speak about Kenlock, he speaks in great detail, and you're like, well, okay, you know more about playing fullback than virtually anyone.
Because what he says about Kenlock's right. Kenlock is a far superior player to Knudsen in the final third. His final ball, final third. Defensive wise, from a strength point of view, he's not.
No.
It's a tricky one.
Very interesting. Yucky Brain, do you feel the consistency in the team selection has helped the team gel? And he adds, do you think Swansea was a fluke and we're going to win another game anytime soon? Do the consistency thing, because Dave, I think it has helped the team.
Which got the consistency,
especially Chalobah and Skews.
Oh yes, that has. Yeah, no, definitely. But it was, I think, certainly in the earlier games. No, it was the chopping and changing. It was a massive, certainly a massive issue, wasn't it? I mean, he was making his early season, but he was making 3 or 4 changes per game, wasn't it?
Plus two at half time.
Plus 2, on more than one occasion. I think yes, the Chalobah Skews thing's very important. I think what will become important is the Chambers Enciala.
Yeah, that's not going anywhere, is it?
Well, you know, and obviously the other thing he's now stumbled on, and again I've said this more than one occasion, is the Sears up top, which it's been forced on him really. And well, you know, if he can continue his display at Swansea next Saturday, I think should have a very good chance. But yeah, it's certainly the consistency in the team selection early in the earlier games didn't help at all.
Jack Barham, similar. Do you think the win over Swansea is the kickstart to the season?
Well, when I say a fluke, sorry, going back to the previous question, and this is the same sort of thing. Hopefully, fingers crossed, yes, it will be. I mean, you were at the game. I mean, the game was a bizarre game. It could have been 8-4, 8-5, couldn't it? I mean, they had chances where the ball, as you said, I think you compared it to like the Gaza chance in the Euros. Well, McBurney had 3 or 4 of those, didn't he? It's ridiculous, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I know we did. We had 1 or 2, but, you know, perhaps, and I know you know, in football, luck, and you make your own luck. I mean, perhaps last week we did get a bit of the rub of the green for once, which, you know, in some of the games we just haven't, have we? You know, bizarre mistakes have led to goals and stuff. Yeah, I think we'll know a little bit more about that result after this coming week's result, I think.
Yeah, very, very, very true. This is Dylan. Out of Drinan, Morris and Falami, who's off in Australia, which do you think could break into the first team, and which do you reckon will end up leaving without ever playing for the first team? Good question, that.
I'm sorry to say, Stat, I don't Drinan. I don't really think. Not that we've seen much of him. Not to anyone.
He's gone down to a very low.
Sutton United.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's likely to go. I mean, Falami came in and showed promise, didn't he? So hopefully, you know, in the future we'll see him. And was the other Morris? Was the other one? Yeah.
Strike,
Morris. Yeah,
Forest Green.
Yeah. Morris was. I mean, that little nugget, that little cameo against Blackburn. First game of the season, wasn't it? Blackburn. Yeah. Wow, his kid. You know, he's. You know, he's bulked up and he looked confident. I'm very unlucky not to score when he turned inside and stuff. And I was a bit surprised when they let him go. But again, I can see why, to perhaps toughen him up, harden him up a bit if he needs that. So I see those two. Drinan, I don't see.
Interesting. This is Dan at Dan George. 2 questions. Who's our best left winger?
Left winger?
Loaded question, that one, isn't it? Difficult one to answer.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because the caveat to that is none of them are really left wingers. What you're answering is who is the most effective person playing in that position.
Christ Almighty, I don't know. I mean, on the you mentioned that. I mean, I quite like Danny Rowe, and I've always liked Danny Rowe. He's predominantly left-footed, but whenever
if you answer the question directly, Dave, who's our best left winger? It's probably Danny Rowe because he's the only one who's actually a left winger, right?
But you say he is, but predominantly plays off the right, doesn't he? Plays off
and
comes
point.
Inside on his left foot. That's the thing. Who's played Crackle?
Ward, Graham, Eden's been out there. Sears and Edwards has swapped over on the other side as well.
I don't think Edwards has been effective swapping over that side. All his best work I've seen him do is in his natural right side position. I'd struggle to answer that one, really. I really would. Yeah. And Sears, obviously now he's down the middle. We all know that question. No, I'm struggling with that one. Probably Eden, and I've barely seen him play there because at least he's naturally left-footed and he seems to play. He can play out there.
Bonus question: any ideas as to why "You'll Never Walk Alone" was belted out at Wembley on the 90th minute in 2000? I don't remember that.
Nor do I.
No. Tweet us back. Tweet us back, Dan.
Yeah.
Let us know what the answer. Or we'll put that out to the listeners. Interesting. Sophie, short question: where do you think we will finish based on our performance so far? Include that caveat: based on our performance so far.
Where would I? Well, I see us finishing. It's gonna. I think it's gonna be tight. I honestly do. Hate to say it. It's gonna be a tight, fraught season. I just can't see us now even on the back of last Saturday. Please, if I'm wrong, I'd love to be wrong. Going on a run of winning three or four games in a short space of time. Yeah, I see us being lower, certainly lower than middle. Yeah. So it's going to be a season of survival this season, without doubt.
Mark,
you see the same? You see that, don't you? Sure.
To take her question absolutely literally, based on our performance so far, we're with the baseline, we're either going to be relegated or just survive,
or just
based on our performance so far.
Yeah.
So to take the question,
well, you're looking at it through rose-tinted glasses. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Mark Beck, are we putting too much emphasis on the need to quickly grab a free agent striker without giving Sears, Jackson, and even Lancaster time to perform? I think he's referring as much to this big Darren Bent link.
I mean, I guess from that point of view, he's looking for cover, isn't he? Really? Harrison's now out for what, a minimum 2 months, is it?
What's he done?
I can't actually.
Something quite bad, isn't it?
I think it was ankle ligaments, something like that. Maybe it was a nasty one.
Yeah.
So I think it's just getting someone experienced in, and obviously Walters we've lost now. I mean, okay, all very well to mention Lancaster, but there's no experience there at all.
So to answer the question, there's not too much emphasis on that.
Yeah,
because you think we need just someone then, but from what Mark's saying, not necessarily to be starting.
Oh no, squad. No, I mean, what happens next? Next week, QPR, for heaven forbid, Sears having a good game, rolls his ankle. You think, well, you've just got Jackson then. No, you probably do need to get someone else in. Whether Darren Bent is that person, I don't know. Certainly, you would think if someone like that comes in, surely it has to be a pay as you play deal, for Christ's sake.
Okay. Chris Denny. Question 1. If we don't win the next 3 to 4 games, are we going to see Paul Hurst struggling to keep his job?
Yes. Well, again, the pressure's going to mount, as I said before. If we lose to QPR and don't get a result against QPR, the pressure will the Swansea result will be parked. Especially if, like last weekend, a bit of a freak weekend. If those teams around us all pick up points,
but Dave, we've been waiting. Preston and Millwall are not going to finish in the bottom 4. I'm sorry,
I wouldn't. You're probably right. No, you're probably right.
You're far more likely to see Bolton swap over.
Yeah,
as they have. And do you know what? Even though I love Tony Mowbray, they just don't win enough games. And if you take Dak out of there, you can see a downward trend for Blackburn as well. I think you're looking at Rotherham, Hull, Reading, Bolton, and maybe I'm clutching at straws. Just want to try and pull as many teams down there as possible.
But you're right. Dak is a bit of a key for Blackburn, is it? I don't see them. Perhaps I don't think we should mention them in that. But that example of taking a player out on a team.
Let me mention Birmingham as well. If they, they're very draw heavy, they're very first 11 reliant, and there's the possibility they could have a points deduction.
Yeah, true.
So you injure, I don't know, Jutkovic or Jota or whoever, and add a points deduction.
Yeah, that's
all of a sudden looking very different as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Although they're very good at surviving now, aren't they? They're kind of like the West Brom of the Championship, how they were in the.
Pick those points up, yeah.
Can Dazelle Edwards Sears become a 50-plus goals a season machine if their relationship continues to build? We're talking Kookie, Miller, and Darren Bent here, Dave.
Sorry, guys. I don't see it. No, not yet. No. I say, sorry, if their relationship, but who knows? Seasons to come. I mean, how old Sears? 28, 29, is he now?
Put a number on it then, Dave. Put a number on it.
Potentially within the next 4 seasons, there you go. But Dazelle, I would have thought if that, well, let's put a caveat on that. I mean, if they do develop like that, certainly Dazelle won't be here for starters.
This is Dan Glosier. Is there a case to be made which would suggest that our youngsters, Downs, Knight and Bishop, would have transitioned into the squad and Championship football and made more of an impact than League 1 and 2 signings?
Yeah, I think we almost mentioned that earlier. Yeah, I can see they would have done. Yeah, certainly, Mr. Nolan. I thought so far he really hasn't shown anything that I don't think any of those would have been capable of.
It's always tricky, isn't it? When someone comes in and doesn't do well, you immediately assume that whoever was in there would have done. Well, again, I
refer back to Mills, who's far better qualified than any of us, who says it pretty much every week. What it comes down to, he says, are these players that have been sent on loan, and these Dazelle, Downs, Nydam, are the players brought in any better than those? And no.
But then, just to play devil's advocate, is there not statistical evidence that at League One level, John Nolan is way better than because he got 10 goals or whatever last season? So
it's a jump. It's the jump, isn't it? It's the jump and the players learning to adapt. Okay. It's a big jump.
Dan adds, with the first win notched and from what you've seen this season, what do you feel is the team's best formation with our personnel? Yuck. We always end up saying 3-5-2 here, don't we? But
Yeah,
it's
but
not
it's
going to
never going to
happen.
be. It's never going to be, is it? I think like Jackson and Sears through the middle is quite exciting and some serious pace there, but that ain't going to happen,
You're
is it?
so short in midfield these days, though.
Yeah, I
Everyone
know.
else has got
I
three
know.
three
Yeah,
bodies in the middle
yeah.
there, and
And he's not going to break up Shalabar and Skews now, I don't think, is he? I think
I
we've
don't
already
think he
said that.
should, Dave.
No, I agree.
No.
I agree. No, absolutely. So, yeah, it's going to be the one up top, isn't it?
Do you think there's a bit of a case here as well that it was always going to be 4-2-3-1? He's finding the right guys. Do you think we might see some players out the door in January who don't fit it?
Quite right. Yeah, quite possibly. Absolutely. Yeah,
And
yeah.
then that will make, I think, because I think the point Dan's making is
I mean,
that
the one thing I would say, and I think you've made the point, is perhaps the Skews and Shalabar roles they fulfil. I think you've said before you would swap them over.
yeah, that would have to be the system though. That would have to
Yeah.
be. I just think I remember going to Cardiff last year, and I know it wasn't a great game, but Skews sat on his own, and he was really quite good, sitting on his own. And you see this big physical Chalobah who's absolutely brilliant at receiving the ball in tight space, and you think put the guy. Skews needs space, and Chalobah doesn't. Put the guy who needs space in the space, and the guy who doesn't in
In the tight areas.
the tight areas. But there's Hurst knows more about this than we do, and yeah, it'll be very interesting. But going back to one of the previous questions, we don't have. Ward got a lot of praise the other day, but
Swansea.
he was literally 20 yards further back than Edwards for most of the game.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
he did on Suffolk. They said they thought probably it was his best game in the season.
But he was very useful. But was he a good left winger in that game?
Okay.
He's very, very, very useful and always stretches teams, but he wants to stretch teams. I don't know. It's the whole left winger thing. Cobbold Massive. Do I trade in the orange bike for the red one? You can't see the picture there, Dave,
Ooh,
can you?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I'm quite scared of going on. Maybe Cobbold Massive will take me on the back of his bike. Have you ever been on a motorbike, Dave?
Yeah,
Is it scary?
A little bit, yeah. Not for years, but yeah. Didn't take to it.
No. Simo, a lot of people have opinions on what's going on at ITFC on the pitch and behind the scenes. Do you think it would be a good idea for Marcus Evans to do 3 to 4 interviews through the season to keep fans in the loop?
Be a lovely idea, won't it? I mean, but I don't know. Does he need to? I think the fans were so divided over his first one back in, when was it, March? Wasn't it, end of March? I mean, who knows? He may well be, yeah, he may well be doing one fairly soon. If we don't start, if we don't pick up many more wins, who knows? But yeah, that'd be great, but I can't see it.
Wouldn't you just rather than doing and I'm going to get in trouble again, rather than doing a completely scripted, worked interview, that he just commented every couple of weeks? I think that interview was useful, but it was only useful because he's a recluse.
Yeah.
If he, I think there's a different way to play it, and it can, even for the likes of me who pissed and moaned, it can still be scripted, but it'd just be nice to hear from him in a bit more regular. Because what it does as well, Dave, it becomes a little bit of a circus, doesn't it? Oh, here comes the interview. When's the interview? It's coming out next Tuesday. Do you remember the 2 weeks before? Poor old Steve Pearce is getting. When's the interview? When's the interview? We need the date. He's filmed it. Right, he's filmed it. We know he's filmed it now. When's it coming out? When's it coming out? Oh, it's coming. It just became a bit of a circus.
I think you're right. Probably just the odd comment every now and again would certainly help. But no, unless something fairly seismic happens, I don't see any more interviews like that anytime soon, really.
No. Simon Wise, is Andre Dezelle really the key to everything and our ticket to the promised land?
Oh, of course he's not. No, he's not. He's just having him, as you said at Swansea last week, just having him on the pitch, and the little bit of class he brings to the team is obviously helps. But No, he's not up. There's another point of looking
Can
at
you
it. Going
build a
back,
team around him and then sell him on for 40
well,
million?
this is okay. This is, I mean, let's go back 20 seasons. This is how we got into the Premier League in the first place when we sold Kieran Dyer, obviously. So
Mm.
from looking at it from that point of view, potentially yes.
The,
Yeah,
the thing
I
is,
mean, he's the one
he
at the
has to
moment
he has to be as good as Maddison was for Norwich,
as influential. Yeah,
as influential, and
yeah.
that's 25 million player. And I think, yeah, I think you're right. I don't think that player gets us promoted on his own.
No.
I don't think anyone gets anyone promoted on their own from the
I don't
Championship.
get me wrong. Dyer didn't get us promoted on his own. What it did, he gave us the funds for, and then fortunately Burley went out and chose the right players to get us promoted, didn't he? But it was very much on the back of, as we understand, on the back of that. The chairman gave him that fee, didn't he?
Interesting. Tom Beckett, how much credibility do you give to the social media claims of bullying, etc., and we'll be careful when we talk about this, within the club regarding the new management, especially in the light of the post-win celebrations between players and management? Anything Dave is about to say does not endorse bullying, and we have no evidence of that going on within the club. Away you go, Dave.
I don't know if I understand. Have I missed something here? What was it?
I think it's more Doig stuff. We just have to be careful of accusing anybody of bullying
I think we
on
answered.
the internet.
Look, I think we answered that sort of earlier on with regard to what our thoughts on with regard to Doig and his general,
What about
general
the celebrations between, this lovely picture of Chambers and Hurst hugging at the end of the game at Swansea? Did that dispel anything?
Not really. I don't. Well, you'd have thought so if that perception has built up that there is bad feeling there. I just don't see. I don't know. We'll never. How can we answer that? We just will never know really.
Jax Larder, who has been the unsung hero of the first games? I know, of course, Edwards is playing well, but who's in the background pulling the strings?
Probably Skews, yeah. I guess to a degree. Of the
Possibly.
earlier games, I think. That's an odd question, really. I think Chalabar's done well. All right, a bit careless in possession, as we said before. I like the way he's come into the team, and I like the way, as we said, he's very comfortable on the ball. Sometimes he's one of these players that he's great. He's great receiving the ball in tight situations, a bit like Titus Bramble was. Okay, he's an out-and-out defender, but we always said when Titus had time to perhaps think a bit more, he was a bit careless in possession. So yeah, Chalabar is unsung as such.
You can definitely see a line of improvement with Chalabar from the last four
definitely.
games to the first 8.
Skews, as we've always said, he gets bad press, does it? Social media, one thing or another. But Skews is always, I always think, at a decent level, doesn't he? He's consistent, fairly 7 out of 10.
What about Gherkin and Chambers?
Gherkin's done very well, hasn't he? You got to say. We'd all love. I don't know what Bart. Look, I don't think there's a lot between Bart and Gherkin.
There's going to be a question
don't.
on this, I think, in a bit, Dave.
Yeah, I don't think there's a huge amount between Bart and Gherkin. Chambers, I think Chambers has had an okay season. He had certainly an aberration against. He didn't have his greatest game against against Borough, did he? But I think he was fairly much back to his sort of mean average performance at Swansea, wasn't
so
solid
weird.
again.
Like lining up these players and talking about big mistakes. Bart had a couple. Gherkin had one at Birmingham. Chambers had one against Middlesbrough. And Ciala's had a couple and got away with them, I think.
I think the issue with Bart is perhaps he had a couple of perceived glaring errors. I don't know, but over perhaps a course of 3 games, perhaps, and that was when
Chalobah had the falling asleep at the corner at Sheffield Wednesday, didn't he? There's a lot of players have put in big mistakes in vital times,
and that's the thing. And I think perhaps, and they probably did. If you look back at the game last week, Ben, they probably did. But last week we got away with it, didn't we? To a degree, we weren't punished. It seems that all these mistakes, most of the majority of these mistakes that we have made, has just led to.
But Dave, what I would say on that is, there was a bit different last week because we didn't get punished by a good Swansea team. I don't recall any glaring horrible mistakes last week. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't an actual.
The left winger was doing Pennington and whoever.
Whereas
Pace, wasn't he? Yeah,
Sheffield
good.
Wednesday, you're 1-1 with 10 minutes to go. You get that silly red card, and then Bart loses the plot from the corner, and it bounces about and goes in the goal as Hurst before he can even make the sub he was going to make. It's there you go. Mrs. Nuts, as another ITFC player is called up for international duty, which is great on the one hand, but on the other hand, does having the spotlight on our best players mean we will inevitably lose them too soon? R.E. Edwards, I think.
Well, obviously it's additional exposure for Edwards. Will it mean we'll lose him too soon? He's done very well for us, but let's see how he progresses for the rest of the season.
What's his value now, Dave?
So we got him for what?
$750.
$750. I mean, you think so? He's chipped in with 3 goals, 2 assists. Is it 3 and 2, something like that? 3 and 3.
Yeah, he doesn't get the assist because it was an own goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 3 goals, championship, played 12 games, so extrapolate that over season. That's at least double figures from a wide player, sort of wide. Yeah, that's going to be another $500,000 on his value, isn't it? At least.
Come on, Dave. Tom Lawrence went for $7 million after.
Yeah. Okay.
Those goals in.
Yeah. Tom Lawrence. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Tom Lawrence.
It's done as much comparison yet.
No. Okay. I'm just talking about the numbers. You can compare the numbers. I can see you saying.
Look. Yeah. Maybe 2 million. I don't know.
Daniel Hill. Daniel, quickly. My Safari keeps splitting the. He's an expert in Mac, isn't he? It keeps splitting my screen and leaving a big black thing, and I can't do anything down the side. Let me know. Daniel says, any plans for Dave to bring back his gilet? Now, Dave has an excellent Tim Sherwood style.
I do.
Gilet. Yeah. Do you wear it for golf? Is it a golf thing?
No, it's not.
I don't know about golf. I thought it might have been a golf thing.
No, it's not a golf thing. No, I used to wear it. No, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. I used to wear it to those early mornings and late nights in the bunker, didn't I?
Because sometimes you used to come on your push bike, didn't you?
I did used to come on my push bike. I did. Bit of training, but no, I used to reserve that for the early mornings and the late nights in the bunker when sometimes you'd get in and sorry, Dave, heating ain't been on all weekend and it'd be like -10 outside. So we'd be sitting there around a sort of a microphone, like huddled up, like this.
Simon, have you had any ex-players, tell you they listen? Any other celebrity fans? Dave, do any players listen to this podcast?
I think I was under the impression they all listen to it.
I think they'll take notes, don't they?
Yeah,
copious notes as listen.
Yeah. What about you? Because you move more in that world than me. Do you think who have you come across you think might listen to it?
I wouldn't like to say. I'm not aware factually of anybody that does. But it would be nice.
Have we sold any tickets to players? Were the players? I think the whole first team squad was going to come on after the West Brom game, weren't they?
There wasn't M McCarthy bought one, but I didn't. M McCarthy of somewhere in Kent, yeah.
Bromley. M McCarthy, Bromley.
Yeah, but he's off to.
I think
he's off to Birmingham, isn't he? Oh no, he's not. Oh, there you go.
Oh no, I think the biggest potential celebrity, perhaps who's a fan, is probably GB, isn't it? Must be.
Yeah.
GB.
Ipswich Town legend.
Yeah.
Tim, hi Ben and Dave. What have been the individual highlights of the season so far, and then the low light? Was Edwards scoring against Norwich the highlight, or did you know we weren't going to win anyway?
So no, that was a highlight, was it? I liked the first goal of the season. That was a great goal, wasn't it? The Edwards first goal.
Yeah, you're totally right, because that was.
They just said, "Wow, here we go!
4 minutes in, stadium full, sun shining. We're going to win 8-0 and be top of the league." Yeah.
I think that for me that was the high point so far. Yeah, I mean, obviously the Chalobah winner last week must have been quite special to be there to see that ultimately what turns out to be the winner. But I think Edwards Norwich and Edwards first goal of the season so far.
In terms of the lowlights, just a couple of away games where you show up and. Like Hull, it's literally 2 minutes and they've scored. And although, and Rich won't mind me calling him out, in the WhatsApp group, Swansea scored and Rich was like, okay, game over. And
so it's unusual for Rich, because Rich usually calls substitutions 10 minutes before
they occur.
Oh, he's getting some spot on. Yeah, but I think I could have easily posted that as well, Rich, so won't worry about that. Yeah.
Yeah, low light's probably just anything in that whole game that wasn't a lot of fun. Although I did have nice tapas beforehand, so
nice.
every
I even
cloud.
forgot the results. They scored a late one, didn't they? Bowen
They
scored.
scored at
No,
the beginning and at the end,
at
and
the
we
end.
didn't do a lot in between. And yeah, and we've
Rubbish.
and then they lost 3-0 to Reading the next week, and it's not great. Graham Downey, will Knudsen get a new contract or will he go on a free in the summer? I'll add in there, will he go for a fee in January?
Oh yeah, potentially. Fee in January. Yeah, come on, step in, young Kenlock. So I've lost track with Knudsen. What is he? He's out of. So
End of
that
the
means
year, I think.
he's out of end of year. Yeah. Um. Well, don't get Danish World Cup player on the bench last night for Denmark. Didn't come on by all accounts. I think they played the Republic 0-0, I believe. So yeah, I'd hope someone like Knudsen, no matter what we think of him, we would get a fee for him. 'Cause he's still relatively young, isn't he? I'd hope if he does go, he'd go in January. We'd at least get something for him rather than let his contract run out.
And I'm always interested with Knudsen because I think he's really solid, and for
He is
Championship,
solid.
I think you could do a lot worse. But a lot
It's
of
just
people.
I think it's his distribution that annoys people. Yeah, his final ball in certain. I mean, certain when he gets it right, he pings it. But yeah, his distribution and his general bad bad play sometimes. But look, I like him. I like him left side of a back three, but that's not gonna happen anytime soon.
I just think if you're Ipswich, you're just not going to have 11 really good players. And I think every now and then
But
you need to fill the team up with guys who are reliable,
yeah,
solid. That, as
it's
Paul Lambert would say, run through a brick wall for me. Do you know what I mean?
it's
You tell me horrible mistakes Knudsen's made that
no,
have
no,
led
not
to
many.
goals.
But is he the
Doesn't
one?
happen
Do
that
you
much.
think it's either one player that fans associate with the previous manager's bad football?
Possibly.
Yeah,
Possibly.
that's perhaps
And
I
I
see it.
suppose everyone's
He's got
like,
that
well, Kenlock can
stigma,
do that job anyway, so.
Yeah, exactly. And you'd see him hoof one up the line and it'd go out of play. And I think people's word he was crap under McCarthy. So was he then? But I agree. I think he's solid enough. But I think, yeah, as Mill said,
Dave,
everyone seems to. Kenlock in the final third has certainly got the edge.
Dave, can I just say as well, in a couple of games where we've been stinking it up and crap,
Yeah.
there's been periods where we can't get out. And do you know what's brought us out? Is bloody Knudsen sprinting up the line, and then for the next 5 minutes we're up the pitch. And I
remember that. I mean, but you can be. It's just sometimes that final ball. Do you remember Norwich away last year?
Yeah. I remember
flat
all
ball.
these things. Is he average, good, bad? He's definitely not bad. Do you know what I mean?
Don't get me wrong. Knudsen would get in would get in at left back in a lot of championship teams. Come on, because he would.
Interesting.
But I think the thing there is the elephant in the room, as you like to call it, is Kenlock. People can see how promising he is. I mean, I think there's a case in point. You said about the mistakes, any glaring mistakes Knudsen's made. I certainly can recall one or two that Kenlock's made, for instance. So.
Okay. Yeah. Chris Rand, when Hurst was appointed, many fans said that as long as they saw rebuilding for the future, a mid-table finish would be fine. Would you agree that if we are building our way to mid-table after 46 games, then bottom three after just 12 is what we should have expected? Can I take that one, Dave?
Yeah, go.
Possibly. The only problem is for statistical brains like me is that bottom three after 12 games means that you have to perform above mid-table level to even get to mid-table level. So bottom three after 12 games means that if you do perform at mid-table level, you'll still be in the for the rest of the season. Like you were saying, 1.3, 1.4 points per game. You're going to be 17th, not not mid-table. What's your view, Dave? Is this just par for the course, and if we are mid-table, then up we'll go like a helium balloon as the season goes on?
Mate, if we finish mid-table, we'd have had a very, very good final three-quarter, whatever it is, almost three-quarters of the season, won't we? We really will. And you've said before that extrapolating results, what is it? The 1.5, we probably
1.5 will not get you playoffs. It will get you like 69 points, 1.5, isn't it?
But from where we are now, 1.5 points from where we are now, we need that to get to the middle of the table.
12th or 10th or something,
12,
won't you? Yeah, exactly. I don't know the exact numbers. What we'll say, Dave, though, is I think the points are going to be I think it will be quite
Lower.
like I think the top will be lower and the bottom will be higher, which is slightly worrying because I don't see there's no Rotherham or Portsmouth when they had no money or whatever
No, there
where
is.
everyone's going to take 4 points off them,
Yeah.
and there's no Newcastle up the top to take
Yeah, 100
points off.
points.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to take points. So I think it might be
Yeah.
squished up. This is Mullet. Which ITFC manager season does Hurst's reign remind you of so far, and why?
Oh, Christ. Well, yeah, so far, the last of the Paul Jewell. Well, it's not a season, is it? It's like a bit of a season, but yeah, probably certainly beginning of the last Paul Jewell
Is there
season.
not
As
more of a
virtually in the same position, aren't we?
Yeah, I think the big false equivalence with that is that Jewell had 3 years and spent a load of money.
Oh, yes, a good point. So
prior to get there. So is it not Sir
Oh,
Bobby's
Keith, I mean,
first? Sir Bobby's
Oh,
first season
so Bobby's
in
first
terms
season.
of that it was the first season.
Well, not really. I mean, so his first full season, yeah, probably, because his first season he came in January, didn't he? So you're looking at 68, 69, 69, 70. And yeah, we were struggling to, to survive. So yeah, that's probably a good point. Roy Keane's, Roy Keane's first season, all right, ultimately it turned out okay, but Christ almighty, first full season, we didn't win for how many? Till corresponding Saturday. Well, I think, yeah, it almost dovetails, isn't it? I think we could have even been November when Wright scored against Derby and we won.
Let's hope the next few years are more Robson than Keane or Jewell. He adds, if you had to pick one former manager player to come back and take over from him, a bit of an agenda here, who would it be and why? It's a difficult one, that, isn't it?
Yeah. One former manager player to come in and take over from Hurst. Who would it be?
Who's the best qualified former ITFC person to come back?
Well, obviously George qualified, probably George, isn't it? But that ship's probably sailed, hasn't it? I think we covered that.
Is Dave sure he's still 50% of the podcast as per his bio?
Oh, I've got to change it then. Obviously not, am I?
Well,
I'm actually no. I'm a probably 12.5%.
Yeah, but you're on every week though, aren't you?
True. Yeah. Who's asked that?
Mullet.
Oh,
he asked 3. Yeah,
Oh,
I think
okay.
he's probably
Yeah,
teasing you. I'd like to say here that
is.
Dave is a vitally important part of the podcast, and I will defend my man to the hill, and highly valued and highly popular when he's not here.
Yeah, cheers, Ben. Thanks, buddy, for fighting my corner. Good question, though, Mullet. I'll have to think carefully about that.
Yeah,
I've thought about it. Yeah, I do.
Why don't you put founding member?
Founding
of
member
the Blue Monday podcast.
Yeah, that's probably more accurate.
There you go.
Yeah.
Harry, can you see us kicking on now and beating QPR?
Yes. No reason.
Also, how are you feeling about Arsenal Spurs' interest in Andre Dazelle?
I think we covered that last week. Bit of lazy journalism, I think. He's had 80. What has he had? Well, 80 plus 80 minutes plus 10 minutes. So a bit of lazy journalism. But yeah, if he keeps, performing and as we all know he can do, and I think he's capable of, then that's only going to get greater, isn't it? That interest.
Luke Moles, where do you both see ITFC being in 5 years' time? Should we say, 15th in the Championship?
Mate, the way this season's going, that would be an achievement, I think. I mean, I don't know. Don't forget, Mr. Sheepshanks had a 5-year plan. I'll tell you what, I don't see in 5 years' time. I think we'll more than likely have a different owner.
Wow. There's a couple of scenarios.
Surely.
Best case scenario is we're in the top half of the Championship challenging with Paul Hurst as the manager. That's the best case scenario. Worst case is we're not in the Championship anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're not. Yeah, we're in a not.
Alex Pryke says, do you think that Luke Chambers will be looked at as an Ipswich Town icon? Can I start on this one, Dave?
Go on.
So difficult because in terms of what Chambers has done, he should be, but would he have got in the 99-2000 team?
No.
Can you compare him to Franz Tyson?
Carry on.
So I think he's going to be. He should be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, definitely, absolutely.
But in terms of an icon, I just think when you're dealing with Tyson and Brazil and Gates and
And look at
Beatties.
where and look at where they played their football and who they played their football against. Luke Chambers, I love him. We all love him, and we love his passion, and we love him as a leader and as a player.
And
don't
his
get me wrong,
importance over the past.
Absolutely, yeah, he's held it together. I really do. I really think that. But no, I don't think you can talk about him in the same breath as that. But he certainly. I mean, how many games is he? 200.
7,000.
7,000 games. So yeah, he should certainly one day. Certainly one day. Yeah, certainly one day I'd have thought someone like that should turn out in the Hall of Fame.
This is Joe's question you talked about. Review of the 12 signings, please.
Go on then, shoot, go on. I'll give him. What are we going to do? Marks out of 10 or hit or miss? What are we going to do?
Oh, hit, miss or maybe. I like that.
Hit, miss or maybe.
The thing is, can we think of the 12 signings? Okay, Gwion Edwards, hit.
Hit.
Caden Jackson, hit.
Maybe.
Oh, okay. Janoy Danassian, hit.
Maybe.
Hit, maybe. Jordan Graham.
Maybe. No, miss.
Miss.
Yeah, very miss. Double miss.
Teo Aiden.
Miss.
Oh, that's a maybe. I like him.
Do you think so?
Trevor
He's not
Chalobah.
He's not playing. Oh, hit.
Hit? Okay, yeah, hit.
Chalobah, yeah.
I'm struggling. Matthew Pennington, hit.
Oh, definitely hit, yeah. Harrison. Maybe.
Harrison's a maybe.
Miss.
Toto and Ciala.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's very much a maybe at the moment. Want it to be a hit.
John
Nolan, miss.
Oh, big miss.
So far, we hope we're wrong.
Toto Wensuala, maybe, hopefully a hit, because he could become a cult. I think he could become a Man U to T, couldn't he? A cult figure.
Oh, hopefully a bit better than that, yeah.
Well, no, but you know what I mean, that sort of cult figure. Yeah. I always like, just seeing him and hearing him speak is great,
John Walters, miss.
Well, obviously, yeah.
Sorry, yeah, that's miss, 11. Is there another loan or someone?
Jordan Graham. Oh, I don't know. We've probably missed someone. Someone's screaming at us. It's probably the most obvious one, isn't it? I can't think of anyone else.
I can't think of anyone. I think we've done that nice and quickly. Tig, what does success look like this season now we're well into it? Is it simply survival or are we looking for and expecting more?
Survival.
Yeah, we just got to get out of the bottom three before we
got to be survival. For survival. And it's good, those teams that you mentioned there, the teams, aren't they? The Hulls, the Rotherhams, the Readings, yeah.
Yeah, indeed. Chris has had one. Rich, of our parish, relegation, a chance to regroup and rebuild and bounce back stronger, or potentially the beginning of the end as a perennial top-tier club?
I see it. I don't see relegation as a good idea at all. Of course, I don't see it as a good idea at all. But I don't see this club at the moment having that structure at the moment, given the infrastructure of the club, having enough to bounce. Yeah, to bounce straight back up like a Norwich or a Southampton who have come back and gone right through the champion. Don't see it.
Barry, do you feel like Bart should get his place back in the team like a lot of Town fans are saying, or do you agree, like myself, that we have two really good goalkeepers? It's good to see that they're being given a chance to battle for share. Can I start on that one, Dave?
Yeah, go on.
I think the people that have issue with him being dropped in the first place. The issue now is, I think most sensible people would agree. Sorry, that's unfair of me to say that. I'll say my opinion. It would be unfair now to drop Gherkin. So the issue is, should he have been dropped in the first place rather than should he get his place back? Is because he surely can't now put him back in, Dave? Can he?
No, he can't. No, it's going to take. It's going to take either, and I don't even see a couple of horrific games for him, I think, or an injury. I think Bart's best chance it sounds awful for Gherkin because you wouldn't wish this on anyone, but Bart's best chance of getting back, and from everyone who wants Bart, is going to mean an injury.
Dave,
hopefully not a bad one to Gherkin.
Because
otherwise he's going to cost us. It's going to cost us.
If I'm John Terry or Dean Smith, I'm signing Bart in January.
Yeah.
Villa need a goalie, don't they? Really?
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Another one from Barry, slightly self-indulgent one, Dave. Did you think the Blue Monday podcast would be as successful as it has been?
Are we successful?
Success is when you go to a game and someone cares about your opinion.
Actually, that is quite nice when people come up. That's been quite nice. I don't know. I mean, we started it off as we walked down memory lane. We started it off, and it was me and you, and a bit of fun, wasn't it? And not that it still is. Obviously, it still is fun. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't do it if it wasn't. I mean, it's great. I mean, Christ, that's down to you. You work hard at it. You've got other people
No, but we
involved.
never expected to have a team and 3 shows per
No,
week in YouTube and
no,
you
no.
know all these
Well,
other podcasts and
well,
things
I know
we've
it's
been on.
quite nice. All these guys, obviously most of them, most of the guys we got involved, like obviously Stats was really the third member, Rich and guys like and Joe and guys like that have been, and Mikey, I think Harry we all knew anyway, have all been contributors to the show from day one. So that's kind of nice, isn't it?
What should we go for? MW1. Will Bart or Jonas be sold in January? Will we address the fullback situation in January? What other player positions? Well, talk to me about Bart and Jonas in January.
Yeah, well, you said Villa. There's a case in point. Villa, new manager, and Terry's gone in there as well. That's quite interesting. Terry hasn't. It's quite odd, that one. They were talking about this on TalkSport the other day. Terry Smith has taken his number 2.
Yeah, he's not the
there as well.
Is it O'Kelly, the assistant?
I'm not actually sure.
Yeah, he's not the
I'm
assistant.
not actually sure. So he's not the assistant. So but I can understand getting Terry involved, and great for Terry. If he's looking to follow, the likes of Gerald, put him in his.
Yeah, but Dave, do you remember? Dave, do you remember when? I'm trying to think who it was. Someone got hired by QPR while Chris Ramsey was the manager. It wasn't Warnock. I can't remember. And we both said on the podcast, "Oh, he'll be the manager in 3 weeks' time." Do you know what I mean? That having that figure.
Was Harry? Was Harry QPR? I can't remember.
Oh, it was Harry.
It was Harry.
Was it?
Wasn't it?
I don't remember.
I can't remember.
I don't recall. They've had so many managers.
So I think nail on the head there, Ben. Bart, you can see a team like Villa, as you said a couple of questions ago, coming in for someone like Bart, needed goalkeeper in January. And the same with Knudsen. All I said was, as I said again a few questions back with Knudsen, if he does go and if he has to go, go in January, because we get a fee for him.
This is Super France. How many points are required before the next international break, which is 5 games?
So what we got?
Five. Well, Dave, can I just talk numbers with you here now? Because everybody likes to trot out. They look at the games and they say, "Oh, home game, we should probably win against Preston or whatever." Let me just talk numbers with you, Dave. Okay? Because I've done the research on this now, and you and I have been
research.
Yeah, you and I have been quite accurate on this. That we know in the Championship, if you get 2 points per game, you'll either finish first or second. If you get 1.8 or 1.75, you'll finish in the playoffs. Yeah. If you get 1.5, you'll be just outside. I looked at the bottom, and it's so strange, Dave. It's pretty much across the board for 10 years, 1 point per game, and you'll be safe. So 46 points will keep you safe. But there's 2 really strange years in there where it's like 55. So, and I think what happened in those years, Dave, is that number 24 has got no points. So number 23 and number 22 have everything is artificially higher. And I'm a bit concerned this year that it's going to be more than 1 point per game. I think it's going to be 50 for survival this season, based on the fact there's no runaway leader and no abject, terrible.
And I hate to say it, the worrying thing for me is today, and I sort of do spread the doom and gloom, as we've already lost to Hull and Rotherham, haven't we?
Right, there you go. So I think we've all got to be sensible here, and we've got to look at 1 point per game. At the moment, we're 9 points from 12, which is 0.75. So if you add the next 5 games on, Dave, which will be 17 games, then that would mean we would want, for 1 point per game, we want 8 points from the next 5 games.
Yeah, I looked at those games this morning, actually, I think, and I sort of thought, 8 points. So that's interesting.
But that goes back to your point, though, Dave. 8 points over 5 games is what, 1.4 or something, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to be in quite good form now for the rest of the season to get anywhere near the middle of the table. That's the thing, and I think we need to look very realistically that.
So Ben, it's a very big game coming up this Saturday. I tell you, I don't think you can put enough emphasis on that game this Saturday, especially after the first win at Swansea. Because look what we got in the week. So you lose Saturday, You lose Saturday to QPR.
And that's another 2 games ticked off, Dave.
And Leeds away, well, sorry. That's another 2 games ticked off, and you're really scrapping for points. Not that we aren't now, but you really are then. And that really builds up the pressure for the likes of those, what we would class as perhaps hopefully winnable games coming up, the Prestons, the Readings and games like that.
Did you take my point, though? I need to see statistically, and this is the thing as well, is people always do this. They look at the table and they look at teams down the bottom and think, oh, if they just get 2 points per game for 7 games, they could survive. Teams at the bottom are bad. They don't get 2 points. Do you know what I mean? Everyone just looks at it and thinks, "Oh, we'll jump up." And you've seen it before. I remember one season, Burton got 7 points from 3 games near the end of the season or something, and they were dead and buried, and they got out of it just incredibly. But that's very rare. I genuinely think the first target is 1 point per game. Which is not possible for another 2 games. Because if you win the next game, you've got 12 points from 13, and then you win the next game, you're at 1 point per game. So there you go. To get 1 point per game by the next 2 games, you have to win away at Leeds and beat QPR.
We're doomed, aren't we? We're bloody doomed.
We're not doomed, Dave, but people need to realise that mid-table is a long way off when you're not hitting.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
When you're not hitting relegation.
People have got to get real. Where we are now, and look, what would be a good correlation is the amount of points McCarthy picked up after coming in. So we would have been like 4th in the league. Oh, he won his very first game. Obviously, we had a hell of a run around Christmas.
Someone posted it. If you'd started the season when he took over, we would have finished 4th.
Got the playoffs. Yeah, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so, look, can you?
And where did that get us? Mid-table?
Yeah, I think
so.
Yeah, it was. I think pretty much bang on. I can't. I'd love to say I could, but I just can't see that.
We've got to become the 21st best team in the league before we become the 17th best team. Do you know what I mean? And
absolutely.
Unfortunately, the way it looks right now, and the whole terror of whatnot, if you gave a lot of, with knowing what we know now, 0.75 points per game over a quarter of a season, you give me 21st now, you give me that whole position. 47 points.
Yeah, grab it.
And Hurst then has a season's experience and consolidates.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's
at the moment. Now. At the moment, right now, take it. Yeah. Hey, we could do 1.8 points per game for the next 10 games, and it's like, no, we're comfortable, we're safe. We're not going down, But
for us now, that is the best scenario, isn't it? Look, I think people have got, talking about mid-table, yes, lovely, but it's going to take a run like, as you say quite rightly, like McCarthy had in that first, 3/4 season that he had, and it's just unlikely.
But let me put it in real easy numbers as well. So 8 points from those 5 games is 2 wins, 2 draws, and 1 defeat. So that means winning 2 home games, losing at Leeds, and drawing at Millwall and Reading. That's quite good, yeah? So
yeah, it is.
Do you see what I'm saying? We could have a decent run. We could take 7 points from those 5 games, 2 wins and a draw.
Yeah.
And that's still relegation form. We're still not at 1 point per game. People need to understand that those first 10 games without a win, that makes things
is big. It's huge. Yeah,
absolutely. Very, very hard.
Yeah. I can't imagine we didn't win last. But we hadn't got those. Which, let's face it, was an unexpected 3 points last week, and all the teams around you winning, picking up points. Look, let's hope we can, and it's going to be a season of survival.
Wow. Right. So a couple of things to say. We've done. I think some more questions are coming in. Have been sat in here, but just to prove that we're not mean with the questions, we've just done an hour and 20 minutes on the questions. So the podcast would be 4 hours long if we answered all the questions every week. Dave, you're back. Are you back with Statman this
week? Should be back. Yeah, we're both busy at work last week, and Stat had a cold from hell. I spoke to him actually. Very rarely sort of speak to him on the phone, but he actually called and he sounded like crap, bless him. So hopefully he'll be over that, and we'll be back doing history show this week. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what day it will go out yet, but yeah, hopefully this week.
Rich and Harry will be back with the QPR preview, and then we're off to a 3-game week again. Dave, God, I hate these.
Yeah, you're doing. Did you say you're doing a game prior to that or the game after? You staying up there, or so you got a day off or something?
I might be seeing.
I know it's half term, isn't it?
Yeah, I might be seeing Mr. McGoldrick on the Tuesday night. Possibly Sheffield United Stoke.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll have a
Nice.
we'll have a look at that.
Yeah. Where are you up to? How many games are you up to so far?
I don't know, like 16, 17.
Good go.
I think. Yeah, it's going to be
What
hard.
What was your total roughly last year? Oh, you know, probably
65, because it's one less than Russell Osman, isn't it?
Oh, that's right. That's all your correlation. So you're hoping to usurp that this year. See how it goes.
I don't know. I might just get fed up after way through or run out of money or something. Rich and Harry will be back on Friday with the preview show. I don't know who's on Sunday. I'm sure you'll be on and I'll be on. Dave on.
Who are we playing? I can't remember. Oh, you could be on.
Yeah,
I'll be on. Yeah, I'm going. I'll obviously be at that.
Someone else will be on. Who's at?
I'm going to break my away duck soon. I think probably Reading away. I think is likely. Yeah.
There you go. Get your Reading tickets. David
Joy Reading away
to see the joys of a Paul Clement team.
And the joy, hopefully another joy of a 4-0 away win as it was last season. That'd be good.
Take that right now. Thank you everybody for watching. Again, live show rescheduled February the 16th. Please get in touch if you have tickets and you cannot make the second one, or for some reason you're grumpy and you don't want to and you want a refund. Please get in touch via Twitter and we'll sort out follow, and we'll follow you and do the DM route like that. Follow us on Twitter at Blue Monday ITFC. Follow him on Twitter at David Diamond 3. Follow me on Twitter at Benjamin Bloom. All the other guys are in there. Follow everyone. Follow me and I'll follow you.
Like a bit of Genesis. We like a bit of that. And this, can't recommend that highly enough. Get on it. Absolutely brilliant.
For those listening on the podcast, Dave is holding up the Kevin Beattie story, the greatest player England never have. Back in print. Now, back in print!
Fantastic book and a great insight into as you say, the greatest.
The greatest
player we ever had. Greatest, yeah.
The greatest. Thank you everybody. We should stop. Thank you everybody for watching, and we will see you this week in ITFC history. Preview show and flagship show.
Thanks, Ben. See you soon, mate. Bye.
Even better back to Stewart. Oh, he turns to defend it sweetly. Round the goalkeeper.